for this very special session on work from home. Everybody is actually getting connected to this session from home. That is the beauty of it. And this is a very collective effort of National Chamber of Commerce of Sri Lanka, FITIS, Federation of IT Industry in Sri Lanka, and LK Domain Registry. It's a collective effort of all these three organizations, and uh, we have many more experts joining in beyond this. So I would like to actually mention my chairman, Mr. Asel Oliveira, and my deputy chairman, Mr. Deepal Nelson, is also on board, connected. Thank you for viewing this, sirs. And without time is so precious, without taking much of your time, I would like to invite Mr. Abbas Kamruddin, chairman of FITIS, to speak few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bandula. A very good morning and a very warm welcome to all of you who have logged in today for this webinar or session. I think it sets the stage for the future, the near future that we have to face, the challenges that we have to face. And I believe that today's session is the Federation of IT Industries kind of opportunity to kind of have the expertise when it comes to the technical expertise of working from home. And that is absolutely going to be vital in today's day to continue to have business continuity, to ensure our economy keeps going forward at whatever the pace, maybe 50%, 60%, but it's become an absolutely vital element of our day-to-day lives today. That is essentially how we could actually contribute to some form of economic activity from home. And I believe we have a list of very good panelists who can actually advise you on technical aspects as well as non-technical aspects as to how you should go about getting the maximum out of working from home by way of different tools that can be used, by way of different thoughts and mentalities. Professor Gihan Dias will be leading the discussion today. He'll give you both a technical aspect and a non-technical aspect as to how to go about carrying out working from home as well as managing your team efficiently. So I would like to just give you a very brief introduction to FITIS. The Federation of IT Industry Sri Lanka is a federation that represents all elements of the IT industry, from the hardware chapter, which provides where all the providers of hardware basically are, like the computers, the tabs, and all the other accessories around it, the networking equipment around it. We've got the communication chapter where all the top telcos, all the telcos in Sri Lanka are part of. And then we have got the software chapter where all the software engineering and the software development companies are part of. And we've also got the professional chapter where we've got all the security specialists and all the other IT professionals in Sri Lanka are part of. And most importantly, we also have the training and education chapter, which provides training and education for IT related subjects areas. So all the universities and all the institutes that provide training and education. And very recently, we've added two more chapters, which is essentially the office automation chapter, as well as the digital platforms. So all these digital platforms that enable home working or enable anything from the PICMEs to the other different platforms that actually provide you services via digital platform are in that chapter. So that just gives you a very good idea as to the coverage that FITIS has with regard to the whole IT industry and what its role is currently. Let me just say that this is an absolutely important. I would actually, a lot of people look at it in a short-term point of view, but there's also a very long-term aspect to this, where I see an evolution within our corporates, where I see that this could be a way of increasing our productivity, our efficiency, by way of figuring it out that it doesn't really matter where you are, irrespective of whether you're at home or whether you're in office or whether you're somewhere else. If you can figure out how to increase your productivity, increase your efficiency, I believe it's a real value addition for all of us, even when we do get back to offices. So I believe let us see how we can actually, embrace this change, learn something more from it, come out positive from it, and figure out how to become more and more productive once we are out of this situation. Just to give you an example, I was just talking to someone at Siemens Global, internationally based in Dubai, and he was telling me that their productivity has gone up by 20%. All their projects are ahead by at least 15 to 20%. Why is that? Because the traveling time is saved by working from home. Why is that? Because the amount of the focus that you have, the amount of attention that you can pay is a lot more when you do it well. So I believe that so if they can see 20% more productivity by working from home, it's not for all different roles but for specific roles, and if they can see that productivity, I believe that we should be able to capture some of that benefits of working from home as well. So I won't talk too much about it. Let me pass it on to the experts and let them continue with it. So I would like to now hand it over to Professor Gihan Dias, who will take it over from here. He is the vice chairman of FITIS, as well as professor of the University of Moratoa. So, Professor Gihan Dias, can I pass it on to you, please? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas, and welcome. I hope you can see me. I'm not sure how this
Yes.
how it decides which one to show on the video. Right. Okay. So good morning, and so welcome. And I assume everybody is here because you have some interest in either you yourself working from home or have your employees working from home. And I hope this seminar will give you some of the broad issues which you need and how we can solve it. So without further ado, let me start on my first presentation. Right, hopefully you can see that now. So working from home, opportunities, and by the way, if you can't see me, let me know, because this is basically taking up my screen, so I cannot see anything else here. Right. In fact, I can switch off my video, I guess, because there's no point sending a video as well. Okay. Uh, so we are looking at opportunities and pitfalls. So right now, it's basically essential that we work from home. So our normal routine of going off to office and attending various meetings and signing various pieces of paper, uh, and physically talking to people, physically getting work done from people has gone away. Now, of course, it doesn't mean everybody in the world can work from home. Obviously, if you are in an industry where you have to go to a particular factory where there's some particular machinery, or a hospital where the patients are in a particular place, so there are, or agriculture where obviously you have to go and tend to the crops in the fields, not at home. So there's obviously a lot of places where you cannot work from home, but even in organizations like that, a lot of the people who are not actually on production, right, can work from home. For example, a lot of the management, the accounts, the finance, the planning, a lot of the people who do a lot of work doesn't necessarily have to be in the office itself. So how do we do it? Right? How do we get a whole workforce, or at least some part of your workforce, to work from home? What are the problems? Right? I mean, at any point, if you try to do something new, you're going to hit problems. There's no question about it. Right? So how do we get to a point where we identify the problems and come up with solutions wherever possible? I mean, obviously, not every problem can necessarily be solved. So I mentioned that. And how do we sustain it? Now, this is a completely different thing. Now, most people, when they were suddenly told to work from home about 2 or 3 weeks ago, said, "Oh, okay, let's do something." But now we see that, okay, various sustainability issues are slowly creeping up. But we are not really talking about this, whatever 2 week, 3 week, whatever uh, uh, lockdown. We are really looking at how we can have this work from home being a long-term thing. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at home. it could be in any place. And so one of the things we are really looking at is, do we have to, for many people, for some set of office workers, do they really need to come to this thing called the office? So, but we will look at that maybe a long term, but in the short term, let's see how we can do it. So what do we need to work from home? So obviously there are people, they're at home. We have some kind of IT systems and officers and maybe some production facility and various things. What do? We need communication and devices. We need to have some way to communicate. I mean, you can't work from home if you don't have communication. So we have fiber, ADSL, fixed 4G, mobile, and maybe a few more, but those are the main ones. Then all the applications we need. So of the applications, probably the one which is most common is email, and of course others such as WhatsApp and so on. Voice, being able to talk to people over the phone, maybe with video. File sharing, can we share the files? Collaboration, so collaboration is a bit more work than file sharing. So for example, even this video conference we are having today, the tele webinar, is part of collaboration, but collaboration is basically taking things like email, voice, file sharing, and so on, and putting together. Then if you go on to the next stage, workflow, where there are certain things done in a particular thing. So somebody does a document, somebody approves it, somebody checks it, somebody revises it, whatever. Then these applications can be on-premise. That means it can be in your company's thing. So many of the big companies, even small companies, they have a lot of things in their office. Now, how can people access things which are in the office, the applications, the servers and the applications which are in the office? How do you access it from home? So we look at that. Then, of course, these days we have gone a lot to the cloud. So some people are already on the cloud. If not, you can look for cloud solutions. Then you are not limited to your physical office, because the cloud is set up somewhere. And as long as we have connectivity, we can connect to the cloud. So for example, even this meeting we are doing using Microsoft Teams, which is on the cloud basically. Then security. Now it's fine to work from home, but what if there's a big security breach and all your files are corrupted or deleted or encrypted or ransomware or whatever? So we need to look at security of the end devices, your PCs, your phones, your routers, your whatever, the home network, the communication lines, and then the actual application. So we may be using many applications. All of these need to be secure. Then the home working environment. So where are you working? In the kitchen, in the bedroom, in the toilet? Why not? Right? You can work from anywhere. Now, is your home working environment just the same as your office working environment? Just think about it. We spend a lot of effort and money making office be very pleasant and easy, or possible for people to be very productive. We air condition it, we put in some good lighting, maybe you have some music, or we have other things. We have lunch rooms, sometimes people give free snacks, so all sorts of things are there. Now, do we have that at home? Often people are just perched on some rickety table, and the power is coming from a multi-plug with many things stuck onto it, and each time the dog makes a tail, the power goes off, and so on and so forth. So we need to figure out how we make the home working environment as good as the office environment. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do it today, but if in the long term, we have to make sure that happens. Then self-motivation and discipline. Whoever the home workers have to have self-motivation. They need to say, I'm at home, but I'm really working. It's not that, oh, I'm home and my boss is keeping on bothering me by sending me stuff. I have to stop my homework and get onto that. It's so annoying. I mean, we need to get away from that attitude into saying, I am self-motivated and disciplined. So if you come to the office from say 8:30 to 5:30, you are working. Now, can you do that at home? What about your children, right? Your children will come and try to climb onto your lap or sometimes onto your head. right? I mean, I've seen this many times. We have some kind of remote meeting, and there's a small one perched on the mother's head, right, head or neck or somewhere. Then visitors, visitors turn up, and they would be extremely upset if you didn't talk to them when you're actually at home. So how can you persuade them? How can you explain to them that yes, you are physically there, but you are working, right? I mean, people won't understand that. So we need to get into some mode where we can avoid these things. Then what is the company worried about? Oh, people are supposed to be working at home, but who knows? Is there productivity? Is anything happening? Right? Are people actually getting work? I mean, is supposed to doing it? Do they get things to do? Right? I mean, people can say, I'm ready to work, but nobody sent me any work to do. Are they doing it? And what about quality? Is it happening the same way? Confidentiality is, all the documents you're sending to your home workers, are they being pushed off on Twitter or something like that? We don't know. What else? Training. We need to train employees to use these applications. Sometimes if they're exactly the same application they've been using at work, then probably they already know how to do it. If they're new applications, we decide, okay, we are going to go into this new Teams or Zoom or some kind of cloud application. How do people know how to use them? Then training on how to work from home, how to avoid distractions, how to set up a home office. So all these need to be training. Then support, socialization, and crisis management. People need to be supported, right? If they're in the office and they are sort of having an issue, they can just talk to the next person at the next desk, or they can just talk to the boss who is in the office, right? If you're at home, there is no colleague in the next desk. So how do you get support, right? How do you get tech support? How do you talk to people? How do you do team building? How do you feel you're part of a team rather than just an individual sitting at home and doing something? Then counseling, when people have problems, when people have crises, right? Often you need to deal with them. So you need team building and you need counseling to support people when they have problems. So that's basically it. For more information, you can look at our website, which is WFH, standing for work from home, right, .lk. So please go there. We have our hotline, 0115-985-668. And basically, you can leave them a message and they will get back to us. Or you can email us on info@wfh.lk. So these are how you can get more information. Especially, I would like to recommend you have a look at our website. So I will just show that to you in a moment. Just hold on. Right. So let me share that with you. Okay. So this is our website. And so if you go here, it's wfh.lk. And we have these, and we have some videos, presentations. So all these presentations we are doing are already there. We have the advertisements for today's thing, and then some idea about what you need. And then we have some hints and tips for setting up a work from home facility. So these are something we have compiled, and they're actually quite useful. So these are available from various places on the web, but at the same time, we managed to get, compile some of them so you can have a look at these and see whether you like them. We have some help and guidance on working from home. There are various things we have got from all over the internet. What's needed, various guides and tutorials, remote tools for any business, then various free offers which various companies are doing now, and some more offers are there in our solutions page. How to manage remote employees, the 10 rules, then how to secure work from home, defending against COVID-19 cyber threat, then firewall security. These are I mentioned earlier. And then this last one I think is quite interesting. It's more targeted towards the employees. So you could share it with your employees, how to work productively from home. So these are some of the things we have. And then we have our solutions. So FITIS members, as we mentioned, have a lot of solutions, and obviously I will not go through them one by one. It will take me another 2 hours probably. But if you just go through this, you will find there are many solutions which you can look at. So please, we have given websites in many cases. Yeah, some are just links, or we have the website actually given here. We have emails, we have names and phone numbers. So please talk to these different people and find out what they can do. And I'm 100% sure that whatever you need, we have a solution. And if you want, we have an inquiry form which you can fill up and send the inquiry, or you can send an email. Both would actually work. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in the first thing. And I assume I will go straight on into the next topic. Is that the plan? Right, I think that's a plan. So let me then share the next slide set with you. Give me a second. Let's see if this works. Let's stop down. Right. So hopefully you can see this communications and devices, physical devices and services. If you can't see that, please shout out because obviously I may not see everything here. So communication is what you need to get your guys who are at home connected to all the applications you're running, right? So somehow you need to be there. So how do we do this communication from employees' homes to where you are? So we have fiber or ADSL. And if you're going into work from home as a long-term solution, I would suggest you look for fiber or ADSL. Today, in pretty much every metro area in Sri Lanka, we have fiber. So if your employees are pretty much in a town, fiber should be there, or at least ADSL. Now, of course, there are employees who are not in the middle of a town and don't have fiber, but I think we should be able to cover a large percentage of our employees with fiber. Of course, now getting fiber connected today might be a struggle, but our telecom providers are working hard to make sure you get your things done. So if you have an account rep at whatever company, and well, for fiber, basically it would be SLT, and you speak to the account rep, they will try to see what they can do to get fiber connected even today. Then, so sorry, this is to the employees, to the company and to the cloud. Then the other one is fixed wireless broadband. So fixed wireless broadband is offered by pretty much all the providers in Sri Lanka. Usually what they do is they give you a small box with a couple of antennas sticking out at the top. You keep the box somewhere, plug it into the power, and then on the other side it has Wi-Fi, and you can connect your phone or your laptop or tab or anything else onto that device. And in many cases, it may perform better than mobile broadband. Obviously, fiber or ADSL will give you the best solution, best speed and stability. But fixed wireless will work. If it works, it might give slightly better performance. And of course, we have mobile. And Sri Lanka is very fortunate compared to maybe countries like India, because we have 4G pretty much everywhere in the country, right? So Sri Lanka is a country where mobile penetration is very high. Unless you're really in the middle of nowhere, this will be there, and you can use a phone. So that's the easiest thing. Everybody has a phone. All phones, either they can use the systems on the phone itself, or they can set up their phone as a hotspot and connect to a PC. You can get a dongle. 4G dongles are fairly easy to get and quite cheap, or you can get what is called a MiFi box, basically a small box which you can stick somewhere maybe a bit high up so that it gets a good signal, on top of the roof or ceiling or something like that. And then that also has a Wi-Fi connection. So it's very similar to the fixed broadband router, except that it connects to the mobile network. So these are the three major solutions you have, and depending on where your employee is, you can connect. They can use one of these solutions. Sorry. Right. Okay. Then, of course, the cost of the communication. So usually, if people are officially working from home, you will need to bear the cost of their connection. One question is how much of this cost is for the actual work and how much is watching YouTube videos. So you will probably need either some kind of control to prevent people from watching videos and so on. So various people can give you solutions for that. Or you should make sure the employees are self-disciplined. And then the speed. Now, speed in Sri Lanka, I know people have been complaining that the internet is slow, but my experience has been in the last couple of weeks, our service providers have really done an excellent job and somehow managed to keep things working. Maybe a bit slower, that's fine, but we didn't really have a huge breakdown or something where it was impossible to work. So wherever we are in Sri Lanka, we have been able to connect. All our employees have been able to connect, and things have been stable. There were no huge, crashes and so on. But of course, speed is a problem. Sometimes if you're trying to do video or animations or some virtual reality or something like that, speed may be a big problem. Then devices. The recommendation for home workers is to use a PC or a laptop, a big device, with at least a 14-inch or whatever screen and a decent keyboard and a mouse. Why? Because that's what people are used to working in the office. Still in the offices, majority of the staff are using PCs. The reason is if you're sitting there for 8 hours, you know a big device with a big screen and a big keyboard and so on. So if you have a PC, you need a UPS as well because power can be flaky, or you can use a laptop. If you don't have that, let's say you don't have ability to send all your PCs to people's offices, although there are companies who are offering that as a service to transport your PCs for you. So some of those solutions are given in our solutions page. They can use a phone or a tablet. Now, phones and tablets are okay for occasional use. So somebody can log in and there are apps. All of these things have apps in them. So they can use the app or they can connect to the website or whatever it is. But really trying to work 8 hours a day in front of a phone is not very pleasant, right? So it's much better if you can find them a PC. But of course, some people are very happy with tablets and they swear that they can use the tablet permanently. Then who owns these devices? If they're owned by the company, then of course, company has full control over it. If it's owned by the employee, then the employee will say, this is my device, I do whatever I like with it. But how do you control that, viruses and malware and funny software are not there, they are not stealing all your information. So you need to control how even employee-owned devices are using. So there's BYOD or bring your own device solutions out there, which you can install on your employee's phone or their PC or whatever, and which allow you to control what they can do on that machine. Anyway, all these devices needs installation, hardening, and monitoring. Then, if you have a router and people connect via Wi-Fi, then you have a home network. So when you have a home network, you need to worry about what is this network? Is there a password? Can the guy next door get into it? Right? What else is connected within your house? Even are all your children happily connected to your home network and watching YouTube the whole day, right? So you need to worry about things like that. So unlike using a dongle or some direct connection without a network, if you have a home network, you need to worry about the home network as well. Then I talked about the home environment also in the previous slide as well. You need to have a comfortable working environment. You need a table and a chair. Now, chairs should be quite comfortable, right? I mean, a hard wooden chair or a stupid plastic chair, which sort of tends to break down, is not very good. The temperature. Most offices, we air condition. Are we going to air condition the employees' homes? Well, might be, right? We have to think about it. Lighting, right? In offices, we spend a lot of effort to make sure the lighting is there. At homes, what do? Right? Stick some kind of funny light glaring in your eyes, or the sunlight coming in and hitting you. So many problems will be there. Then isolation. When you're working at home, you should be isolated from your children, from your dogs, from your visitors and other family members. And there's two things. One is to stop them from disturbing you. The other one is noise. So, I mean, I have seen many calls where there's birds chirping and dogs barking and, this tune park things going and all those things, right? And also the other direction, the privacy. If you are talking to customers and talking, and what if all your neighbors are listening in to a confidential conversation, right? So you need to make sure that what you're talking is not audible to outsiders. Then I talked about the free of distractions. And so that's basically it. Thank you. So please use the chat line for questions. So both on this particular topic on communications, as well as generally in working from home in general. So please do put all your comments and so on in the chat line. And so there's one about request the video be made available. Yes, I think Crystal is on top of that. We will do that shortly. But if you have any questions, please put it on the chat line. And then later on, once we start the discussion, we can even enable the voice for everyone. But right now, we will accept things on the chat line. Right. So I think I'm done, and I guess the next person is it Sujit? Okay, I don't have the agenda with me right now, so I will let whoever it is.
I think it's me.
Right. Okay, go ahead. I don't know whether there's somebody who's going to introduce you or not.
Wellington, are you up next?
No, Sujit, you go ahead. I'll do the last slot.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah,
right.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Oh, thank you, Professor.
Yes, we can.
All right, great. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining this very important session initiated by FITIS and the Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually going to introduce myself first, and then I have a few points which I will discuss with respect to the cybersecurity aspects. So my name is Sujit Christie. I am a director with Layer 7, where we are a boutique cybersecurity consulting firm where we offer services with respect to cybersecurity. And I'm also a board member of ISACA Sri Lanka chapter. So just moving on to the work from home, the security aspects, right? I'm actually going to ride on the platform, the foundation which Professor Dias had laid down. I would start with the passwords, right? Password is the first line of defense. So I'm sure all of you as individuals, you have your own personal set of applications which you use day in, day out, like Facebook, Twitter, maybe other applications. Then also you have applications which you have to use in the organization. Now, the challenge all of us have is to remember passwords. And also, the best practice says that you shall not use the same password for all the applications. Like, just imagine your home, right? You will have a different key to your car, different key to your gate padlock, you will have a different key to your front door, you would have a different key to your other parts of the house. So likewise, we would not have one master key to access all the applications. So it's important that you have separate passwords for all the application, and very especially do not use the passwords which you use for your office applications, your personal use, right? So think of a song, think of an event which is close to your heart. Try and remember the first alphabets of all these words, and probably you can actually coin a very simple password which will meet all the ingredients which are typically required to have a good password. Long, complex, and in terms of passwords also need to be changed as often as possible. Then moving on, and also wherever possible, if you can, have multi-factor passwords enabled, I'm sure you should actually consider doing that. Then Professor Dias also mentioned about the importance of having connectivity, and he gave you various options. I'm going to focus typically on the Wi-Fi router. So if your default practice settings have not been changed, seek help from your IT experts in your organizations and get it changed to a new password. And also, very importantly, you need to ensure the device is adequately protected using various encryption methodologies, right? And also, you must actually find a way to monitor the use of bandwidth. Professor Dias also mentioned when your whole family is using the internet, there could be a lot of usage, but you would actually understand and know that there is a pattern to your usage. But if you find excessive usage, then probably you need to actually start looking at as to what is causing that usage, and possibly you should also be able to identify whether somebody else has actually tried to log into your device and start using this thing. And very importantly, you need to connect only to those Wi-Fi hotspots where you are familiar. You never connect to a new Wi-Fi hotspot which you are not familiar with, because it could be a trap which is set to entice you to log in. Sensitive information, again, Professor Dias mentioned about being conscious of the people around you, especially when you're at home. Also, when things get better, and I'm sure you're going to be about, and wherever you're going to be taking phone calls, be mindful of the people around you, that they don't eavesdrop into your conversation. It is very important to be conscious, and it is important that you use a good headset and a microphone so that people will not follow your conversation. And if you are in a situation where you have to take calls, and if it is a very uncomfortable place where you have a lot of people around, then you may probably want to reschedule the call to a convenient time so that your conversations can be free and free from eavesdropping. And one more thing which you need to be mindful is your notes, your diary. It should not be left unattended, so you need to handle them with care. And if you have any printed material at home or any other place, you need to ensure that it is kept in a very safe place so that people do not have access to such sensitive information. And coming to the updates, you need to ask your IT team to ensure the operating system patches are updated automatically. Likewise, the antivirus signatures also should be updated automatically. And you should also find a way to understand how to check whether your systems are up to date at all times. And also ensure your firewall is enabled at all times. And moving on, we talk about backups. So you need to ensure your information is backed up frequently, even in the event, the worst case scenario, let's say if you have a hardware failure or your hard disk failing, you should be able to retrieve your information and work from anywhere. So I'm sure your organization would have already designated a place to store your information securely. If not, find out where that place is and store it in that place, and ensure you're not storing it in a public cloud where you may get free storage facility, but your organization information is very sensitive. It may have copyrighted information, intellectual property information, so you need to handle them with very, very carefully. Laptops, the physical devices, like what you do in your office, when you leave your workstation, ensure you lock the screen. If, let's say, you have to get up from your seat in a hurry, ensure it has an automatic screensaver protected with password so that in 2 minutes the screen gets automatically locked. And when you're not working, you should always ensure your machine is shut down, you're stored in a safe place. That is possible for any devices which are mobile, like a laptop or a mobile device. But if it is a desktop, you just need to ensure that it is kept in a secure place. And also, Professor Dias mentioned about using your personal device. The organizations have a concept of bring your own device. So that device is your personal device. Sometimes that device might be used by your family members, your wife, your cousins, your brothers, your children. So if you're going to use a device which is shared by everybody else for corporate work, you may want to understand how to use it securely and ensure that your family members also understand the importance of security so that they do not become a catalyst to a risk to materialize. And VPNs are typically used to connect securely to your organization's network. So if you're accessing sensitive information in your network or in a cloud which is in a secure location, please ensure you're using a VPN to connect to your corporate network. Always remember to log out of your VPNs if you're not using. And most often, the IT team would have actually set a timeout, but if they have not set it in, then you need to ensure that physically you log out of the VPNs. And always a word of caution. We are familiar with the word VPNs whenever there's been an internet lockdown. A lot of people have used these free VPNs to bypass the controls laid down by the government or the telecom operators. So these VPNs most often than not actually terminate in a malicious server. So they propagate malware, they plant backdoors, they probably eavesdrop into your conversation. So always, if you're going to use a VPN on your mobile devices or your tabs or your mobile phones, please ensure that you actually invest in a good VPN technology. And phishing. All of you must have heard of this word phishing. Phishing is nothing but somebody trying to con you, sending an email, or it could be a phishing, which can be a phone call or an SMS, which is called as phishing. So if you receive any emails from unknown parties or somebody appearing to be somebody in your organization, always think twice before you click. Verify the URL, verify the links. If you're not sure, seek expert advice from your IT teams, your security teams, and ensure that you do not click on any of these malicious links, because these links are used to make you divulge your sensitive information like your username and passwords. The moment you give it, the impersonator, the attackers, the hackers, they will take control of your account. And today we have also seen that if you have enabled multi-factor authentication, they also try to bring the configuration screen up where you have actually put down your alternate mobile numbers or your email IDs. So when it comes up, you need to actually check whether it is your own information, because most often than not, the attackers actually change those numbers to their own numbers or to their own email IDs with slight alphabet changes here and there or numeric changes, which you probably may not even notice. So pay attention to those information before you click on anything, before you confirm it. And it is important that as an organization, you need to create education, awareness around the cybersecurity, the threats, the emerging threat landscape, the precautions which people need to take. And it is very important that you need to now look at this aspect much more seriously. And I think you may have to do frequent education to your users, because the whole landscape of working has now changed. Earlier, the users were sitting within a protected environment. But today, 99.9% of the users are all out of the network, out of the protected environment. So we need to educate them in terms of what they should be doing and what they should not be doing, which will help not only the individual to stay protected, but also their families and the organization as a whole. And the last point which I would like to talk about is it is very, very important to build a governance framework, the policies and procedures for remote working environment. What are those things which the users should do? What are those things which the users should not do? How do the escalations work? How should people connect to something? What technologies they should be using. So all this should be laid down in a policy and a procedure document. And very importantly, if let's say if the users identify any abnormal behavior in their environment, in their machines or their devices, they should be able to call back and tell the IT that there is an issue. So in summary, I have brought in 10 points here. Just imagine you have 10 fingers, so each finger will carry a point, right? So try and inculcate this in your regular working practice, and also ensure you as an organization in your current position, ensure that this is implemented and adopted throughout the organization. So I think there is a session for Q&A. You can send in your questions in the chat line. We'll be more than happy to respond those questions as we move on to the next session. So thank you so much. I hope this session has provided you an insight in terms of as to how you should stay safe. Thank you. Over to you, Professor Dias.
Okay, I'm not sure whether, well, anyway, I'll moderate it. Thank you very much, Sujit. So as Sujit mentioned, please type in your questions on the chat box, right? You can click in the small chat icon, on the screen, and then type in things on the chat box. We are monitoring the chat box, and we will respond to them either on the chat box or verbally. So our next speaker is Mr. Wellington Pereira from Enhancer Private Limited, and he's going to talk about the applications and basically how you can connect online. So over to you, Wellington.
Thank you, Professor. Let me share my screen and kickstart. I hope everyone can see the screen.
Can see.
Right. So what I will cover is basically a couple of best practices that I have captured in the last few days on working from home. But also I'll spend the bulk of my time to walk you through a whole bunch of very useful tools and technologies. So you can see how you can adapt any of these in your organization very effectively to make sure your business continuity is assured. So right now, I think work from home is the second most talked about topic around the world, just after the pandemic that we are all in. So right now, pretty much everyone is trying to figure out how we can really continue our work as usual without interruptions or with minimal interruptions. So let me share my experience over the last few weeks on how we have adapted into a complete work from home environment. So my name is Wellington. I work as the COO for a very interesting technology company called Enhancer, but I have been working as a technology entrepreneur and a technology speaker in many forums, sharing knowledge, helping customers and partners to adapt new technologies. So making sure they bring in more technology to be more efficient, be more agile in how they work. So I'll continue this discussion on that note. When we talk about work from home, one of the most crucial topics that we all struggle is how do we stick to a schedule? Because when you're working from an office, obviously you have a schedule, you have to sign up at, let's say, 8 or 9, then sign off at a time. Building a similar rhythm when you're trying to work from home is also absolutely crucial. So one of the good examples, so my team at Enhancer starts work at 9, ends work at 6 every single day. So my project manager kickstarts the daily Scrum meeting sharp at 9. So everyone who's relevant dials in. Then we have interim midday checkpoints also. But we make sure we have a daily end huddle meeting so everyone is in sync with how the day really went. So that we are trying to make sure that the team feels they're not completely worlds apart. So at least some interactions are created and enabled so they get the feeling of, yeah, working. But one thing the previous speakers also iterated was the importance of taking breaks. So one of the interesting things I learned during the last few days is how do we synchronize our breaks also? Whether the team can break for lunch at the same time, whether the tea break can be at the same time. So they can either do a chit chat on a video conference and then mingle with the team. So another critically important thing is the psychological preparedness of preparedness for this whole thing of working from home. So dress up. I know people who really dress up with their office attire when they are about to start work from home. You can find a lot of these details all over the internet. There are a lot of people who are sharing these. What I wanted to primarily focus on, my screen just went off. Hello. Can you see now? Hello.
Okay. I can see your face and the slide. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Can hear also.
Okay. So the most important part when you're trying to work from home is having the right environment, right setup. So I believe creating a functional high-tech home office space is absolutely crucial. This doesn't mean a fancy office environment. It can be really enabled with a lot of cutting-edge software. So I'll walk you through a couple of these tools and technologies on about different aspects of working from home. So you'll be able to figure out what you can implement to make sure your work functions as nothing is wrong. So when it comes to conferencing, it could be audio or video conferencing. Most of us are aware of Skype, Zoom, Slack. So Teams is what we are using to host this meeting. It's a very interesting set of tools. I mean, right now, worldwide, some of the most used software tools are actually these. So you can basically get the initial discussion part very interestingly configured, collaborated to keep in touch with your team. But just talking to the team is not the only thing that we need to do. We have to actually collaborate with your team members. So collaboration could include working together on certain tasks. It could include working on a project as a team. So here's a bunch of tools that you can use to get those done. Office 365, SharePoint, Google Docs, Basecamp, WhatsApp is something probably you're already using to coordinate certain things. But if you adapt any one of these other tools, your level of collaboration, level of interaction with each team member can go up tremendously. I'll show you a couple of these tools in a minute in a very simple demo. Here are a couple of other tools that you can actually do to do task management. I'll show you a detailed demo on how we use Microsoft Planner to get a task set organized and to make sure that team is well on top of the list of tasks to get things done. For example, my company uses this tool right in the middle of the screen called monday.com. So everyone is assigned the tasks on what they're supposed to do for each day by my project managers. So we know at any given time who's doing what and what's the progress and completeness level of each task. So I think any job function can be broken down into a task-based execution. So if you do that, if you figure out how to break my work, break my projects into tasks, then you can quite easily get into a work from home mode. Couple of other very useful, interesting tools. Most of you must be wondering, now I can't go to a customer, so how do I get the contracts and all that signed? So DocuSign is what we have started using to get signatures on a digital document. A couple of people have already questioned about, hey, how do we make sure our team is actually working? Or are they just opening their laptop and watching a movie? So TerraMind and ActiveTrack are basically very interesting tools that you can help to monitor what your employees are actually doing, which applications are being used, what's the screen time they had with the computer. Personally, I don't recommend it. I don't like it. We are already confined to our homes, so employees shouldn't feel that they're being monitored, watched like every second. But I believe in more task-based working. Tools like AnyDesk, Teamweaver, LogMeIn are also very useful when it comes to remotely connecting to a machine. My team actually uses AnyDesk a lot to do customer demos, trainings right at this very moment. So we haven't stopped anything on our trainings to customers or bug fixing or troubleshooting. We all use AnyDesk to do that. In case if you have situations where, hey, your software is installed in a home office computer or in office server, but you don't have a way to really set it up on your laptop because of licensing issues, because of any other issue, Amazon Workspaces and Microsoft Azure VDI solutions is something that you can really look at. These are slightly more advanced technology solutions, but what it essentially does is it'll help you connect to your office computer and work on that. How this is different from the solutions above, like AnyDesk, is multiple users can be configured to connect to the same machine, same server, and access the same application. So that's all about connecting to your internal team and getting work done, or internal compute resources and getting work done. I think at this very moment, connecting or staying connected to your external entities, customers, also extremely important. So here are a couple of tools that you can very effectively use to connect with your customers. Bitrix is a CRM tool, and a lot of other features are built into it. You can create touch points, send messages, send emails to your customers to make sure that they are in touch with your business. Wix is a toolkit that you can quickly create a website with and very effectively take it live within a day or two. Shopify is another global tool. If you want to bring your company online, this could be the time to do that. So Shopify, there are a lot of parties who are using it, a lot of companies who are creating your websites or your online shopping carts on Shopify, and so on. All the links to this is in this slide. I will be sharing this slide deck once the session is done, so you can access these links and figure out what to do. Let me show you one more slide with a couple of info on few locally built technologies. If you look at this slide, so my company provides a ERP solution, and Blue Lotus is another company who provides a similar solution. So if you need have a requirement to get your systems automated, you want to keep track of your inventory to supply chain and all that, we can provide those solutions. Someone actually raised a question on the chat group asking about he or she is into auditing. How do we think of moving forward in a situation like that? Enadoc is a great locally built solution which you can actually use to do document scanning, then management, approvals, auditing kind of functionality. So Affinity is a product by a company called Avonet. I'm sure everyone is worried about payment collections and debtors collection. Affinity can actually put a good set of processes in place to do that. Cemex, Microimage, MyHR, then Mint HRM are great HR solutions available in the market. If you need to figure out how to manage your workforces, payrolls, time and attendance, these are the companies to go after. Pay here, shop here are great examples of very quick shopping cart solutions that have come up. There are a couple of more companies who will actually launch similar solutions. If you are a small SME who want to get your products online, talk to any of these companies. Even my setup is about to launch an online shop, which will help you to really within a day or two get your business online. If you have delivery vehicles, tracking is required. GeoID is another local company who can help you right at this very moment. So these are a bunch of great tech solutions which can come into your support at this very stressful time to get your business in order. Let me quickly share my screen and show you a couple of these tools on how we are actually using them. I just created this demo account to show you how you can use Microsoft Planner. You can focus on the screen. See, these are different projects or activities that I have created. For an example, if I log in, if I look at my tasks screen, now these are the tasks that are assigned to me. So I have progressed a little bit on some tasks, I have completed few, and I have a lot of activities to perform right now. So if I go to my hub, I will see the different activities. If I click on this event, you can see different activities are assigned to Crystal, some are assigned to Aruna, some multiple people are assigned. So if let's say for an example, this activity is now being completed, you can say mark it as completed. You can put a comment and simply send it, complete it, then you can see that the task is now complete. So you can complete it here also. So then you will see how tasks are progressing, and once it is completed, it goes into a new list. So you will have full visibility into what your company's each and every employee is doing right now and how things are progressing. If you click charts, you will see which employee is doing what are the tasks assigned to each employee, how many unassigned tasks. You can quickly click this and figure out these are the unassigned tasks. Let me assign this item to someone in my team. So now that person actually almost instantly get an email like this. So these are the emails that I received for the task that I created earlier today. So then that person gets automatically notified on what to do. At any given time, if you want to make a task more urgent, more important, you do that, and another email will be triggered to the assigned person, so to expedite that task. So that's a very simple example of how you can use a task-based environment to manage your entire business operation. If you look at how we use DocuSign, this is a very useful another tool. If I just quickly log into my DocuSign account, give it a second to load. And if I just add a demo document here, what will happen is, so it will now create a separate template for me to go and enable different signature options of the other party. So I can simply say next, then let's say now recipient. I want, let's say, I'll send this to my other email address, so I can demo this. So I'll say add recipient, And now I'm expecting this person to sign this document. So when I say next, so let's say I want to get initials in this location, and the second page also I need an initial here, and then I want the name to appear here, then the title to appear here, then the signing date here, and then the full signature. So I'll just do this next, and I'll send this. Then my other email address basically gets an email saying, hey, you have a document from DocuSign, would you like to go and sign it? So if I quickly open it, here's what happens. So now I see a snapshot of that document. So I just have to click here. So assume your customer doing this now. So your customer will basically sign this, sign here as well, and see the designation. I have put the wrong item there. It should have been a text box. If I just sign here, so now if I say finish, the document is now digitally signed. So apparently this is an accepted format of a document signature. So this is a fully authenticated digital signature because there's a code which is a very unique code for every transaction that happens, every document that gets signed. So these are good tactics that you can actually use to get your business functioning properly in these tough times. So in closing, I think this is the perfect time to drive that long-awaited digital transformation for your company. If you have been wondering, how do I use more technology? How do I bring in more tools to automate or increase efficiency in my company? I believe this is the right time because some of your employees might have some free time in their hands. And most of these technology companies have brought down their prices to help more and more customers today. So make use of this. Personally, I'm willing to allocate a couple of hours on my schedule every week to help few people who need this support. If you need to find more technology professionals, more tech companies who can help you, just put a note down on the comment section. I'm happy to help you get connected to more and more tech people to figure out how they can help your company. With that, thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Wellington. And so all the panelists are around. I guess now Aruna will take over. And so please do type in your comments, I think, or questions on the chat box. So please open the chat box, and there are already some things there, but I will let Aruna take them one by one. And once we finish the ones on the chat box, we can have a general discussion as well. And I think I'll be willing to stay around for a while. So although we're officially supposed to finish at 12, we could go on for a while longer if you have questions.
It's a lot of background noise by someone.
Hey, somebody is having a small child. Can you switch off or mute your mic, whoever it is? So this is the issue, right? So children do not understand these things, and obviously they want their mother's attention.
It's okay, I think.
Okay, Aruna, are you going to take over and moderate the session?
Professor, there are a couple of questions posted on the chat group.
Right.
Message,
so if you want to answer any of them, go ahead. I'm still waiting for Arun to moderate, but yeah, you go ahead.
There's a question from Mr. Nirmal. We need to work on a report where several staff is working on the same document simultaneously. How can we do this? Nirmal, it's quite simple actually. You can use Microsoft Word or Google Docs, or there are a couple of other solutions, and even the free versions of each of these products actually help you to do this. Only requirement is each of your employees just need an email account. Best part is Microsoft announced a free offer for 6 months, so your entire company can get online free of charge for the next 6 months. just drop me a private message. I'll guide you on the tools on configuration. So you can start the document and share it with your team members, and real time, everyone can see who's doing what in the document, and it gets updated real time. It's something that we use day in, day out to get our work done. Even with the external party, I mean, let's say you need input from your PR agency, your customers, you can still share it with them and get that part done.
It's truly a collaborative platform. You can also
Correct.
track the changes, and also automatically
Yes.
it maintains the versions for you. So if you need to go back and retrieve an older version after some changes have been done, you can also do that. So that actually does everything automatically for you. Just adding a few points to what Vela said. Over to you.
Then, Professor, there's another question from one Mr. Danushka. What's your suggestion for server application and desktop virtualization and cloud computing technologies? So for virtualization, you can use multiple products. If you already have your applications ready and deployed on a server, you can basically use Amazon Workspaces or Microsoft VDI solutions, or even using basic remote desktop or VMware solutions. You can still connect to your servers and access your applications. But then there are more sophisticated products, particularly done for application virtualization, so application streaming. I'm happy to send you a couple of material to read and figure out the best solution for you. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just to add to that. So my suggestion right now is, try the free ones first.
Correct,
They
yeah.
are pretty basic, but I think most of what you really need can be done by them. So just go to Google Docs. I mean, everybody uses Google Docs. The only issue is if you have any very proprietary documents which you can't share outside your company, then you need to, figure out what you need to do. So that you need to get one of our solutions providers to give you a solution probably. And Office 365 also very easy to use, and I guess Wellington said they are giving a free offer of the full version, right?
Even Teams is right now available free of charge for a 6 months period. So I just help a education institute run by one of my friends to fully get online so they can conduct their lectures without any issue. Just they didn't have to pay anything. I just got a technician to help them. So there are free solutions. In fact, most of the solutions that I had in my presentation are available free of charge right now. At least a 30 to 60 day trial version is available. A fully functional trial is available free of charge. So then there's another question from one Mr. Nirmal. Kindly state some scheduling applications, time management tools we can use. I hope you saw the demo on Planner. Planner is something very simple and very easy to use. It's available free of charge if you just create your accounts on Office 365. Thank you.
Professor, I think I'm Aruna here. I think most of the questions that we got through the chat, I think Wellington answered.
Right. So you can
Professor,
take
Professor,
yes.
there's
Yes.
one question. Siamla is asking how the signature's validity through DocuSign.
Okay.
If you can add
so
some.
yeah. So there's two ways. One is how does DocuSign or any of these things work? Basically, most of these solutions. So we can also talk about Enadocs, which is our locally supported solution. Basically, you upload the document to a server, and then it is signed there and then sent back to you. Or I mean, there are slight differences, but something of that nature. And also, actually, many people don't know. I mean, if you want just a very simple solution, all you really need is just Microsoft Word, the full version, not, I think, I don't know whether the online free version can do that, but let me just show you what we just did a few days ago. Just hold on, not a few days ago, just today. So let's go to the Microsoft Word, yes. So this is what we did. Actually, this morning we were trying this out. Payment approval form. So it went to one manager and he signed it. And then if you go here, it will actually, let's see, yes, signature details. So it gives some of the details of what happened. And then I have gone and approved it. And so it gives some signature details of myself as well. This is just what Office can do by itself. Of course, getting some of these keys we need to pay for. There are free ones or there are fairly cheap ones available. So it's, yes, there are small things, but this is actually a built-in feature of Microsoft Office and has been there for, I think, around at least 10 years. So most people don't know this, and it actually works. So if you have a simple need, this will probably work. If you have a more complicated need, then you probably need to go to a proper application which has all the features you need. So my suggestion again is, as far as possible, use the simple solution, right? And then get things done. Later on, once you figure out what you need in the long term, then you can go for a more complicated solution. And then regarding the actual validity, so in fact, Mr. Janta Fernando, our IT law expert, especially spoke to me this morning and asked me to convey this message under the Electronic Transactions Act with the 2017 amendments. All electronic signatures are perfectly valid. So you can go to any court and they will accept electronic signature. In fact, if you don't want all these fancy solutions with digital signatures, so digital signatures are really some internal stuff which is done through application or website or whatever, which actually signs it using some public key and private key business. But even if you just put a picture of your signature, just upload a copy of your signature and say, I have signed this digitally, that is valid as a digital signature. It's considered to be a valid document legally. Now, of course, it's not as good as an actual digital signed document. And in fact, if you don't want to do that, if you just put a statement at the bottom of a document saying, this document is official document and I expect it to be used to be a valid, as valid as a paper document, just that statement itself is enough to make that document valid. So our legal system is actually quite willing to accept online documents and even without fancy signature solutions. So don't get too excited. Even a simple thing like putting your scanned copy of a signature is not wrong. I would say it's a perfect solution, but it will be good enough to maybe do certain things in the next few days.
Right, Professor. I think out of the questions, I think there's a one question maybe remaining for Wellington. The question from Nirmal, Mr. Wellington, we need to work on a report where several staff is working on the same document. You answered for that.
Answered that, yes.
There's a reply. There was a message towards the beginning. So there was something about a password manager by Mr. Kalhan. That was actually for Sujit. It says, Mr. Sujit, another solution. Actually, he's giving a suggestion to be use a password manager such as LastPass to avoid remembering the password. But I think this is a good concept. Maybe Sujit, you can talk about password managers.
Yeah, password managers are also a good form of, keeping all your passwords. The key important thing is you need to keep that master key for that password manager very safely. If you do forget, then you will lose access to all the information. So there are so many password managers freely available. So you can Google them and get it. If you do have any questions, reach out to any one of us. We'll be able to guide you on that. Over to you, Dr. Dias.
Yes, and just to add, I would probably suggest just use the password manager built into your Chrome or whatever other browser. That's probably more secure than any of these third-party apps, I believe. Sujit, what's your take on that?
Definitely, Professor. It's an easy way to jumpstart this whole password issues. Right? As people mature, then they can decide to look at more complex solutions. But the solution you propose now is an easy way to get started.
Right, and then there was something about by Harshan Farouk. Please tell about workflows, tracking, and internal massaging. I assume you messaging, but anyway, uh, okay. Maybe that's Wellington, right?
Sorry, so Professor, I missed, you dropped, your voice dropped for a second. Can you repeat that?
Hassan is asking, please tell about workflows, tracking, and internal messaging apps.
There are a couple of solutions. I mean, what we use internally in my company is Microsoft Teams, but the public version of Skype is also being used by several parties. If you want to confine it to the internal environment, so I would recommend something like Teams, Slack, or even WhatsApp for Business. Then for workflow automation and tracking, it depends on the type of work that you do. I mean, if you're into a technology company, obviously there are millions of tools that you can use. But if it is a, let's say a non-tech company who's into more services type of thing, you can adapt a tool like Monday.com or Planner, something like that. Task assigning and approval workflows and all that basic stuff. I hope that answered the question.
So there's another question. I think we are the set of internal bank auditors. Do the scope of auditors have to change with the change to work from home concept? Since we have not seen the branches physically audit their documents registers. Explain new ways of thinking. We can include the scope by. I think there are certain jobs where they had to do the field work. Especially when it's come to the auditors, they need to physically visit and scrutinize the document. In such situation, what do we do? Is there any application they can use? Vela, maybe.
I mean, I saw that question, Aruna. So imagine in this situation, if all those documents were scanned and on one platform like Anadoc, all these auditors would be working in style from home right now, right? But I understand there are a couple of legalities where Sri Lankan system still demands the physical document. This is bit by bit getting better and better for digital documents, but right now I think there is a physical document requirement, but maybe this is the time for all of us in the IT industry to get together and lobby to push these legalities also. Maybe ICTA can help us on these. But one anchor point is we have to get into the first instance of scanning all the documents into a digital platform. Tools and technologies are available. It's just a matter of driving your organization's behavior and culture towards a digital environment. I mean, tools I would recommend are Anadoc, then Microsoft SharePoint comes to my mind as the top tools, but then there are plenty of other ones that you can use.
Wellington, just to add to what you just mentioned, yes, if you have not digitized, if the documents are currently in a physical form, then it is a challenge right now, given the current situation. But what Wellington is trying to emphasize here is we should start looking at transforming the whole work process, the workflow, in terms of digital documentation. Right? One is just scanning, but can we look at the whole workflow right from the beginning and how to digitize it? So that going forward,
I'll tell you a good example, sir. Now, week before last, when the curfew was lifted, actually one of my friends didn't run to buy groceries. He ordered online, but he ran to his office to bring down a whole pile of documents home because his business was completely hindered. Then he didn't have scanners or anything, but there are tools that you can put on your phone. Things like Office Lens, then there are other Adobe scanning apps that you can really use. So what he did was he scanned all these documents using his iPhone, and I just helped him with a simple solution on the web. He had to pay for it because it was confidential documents, and then payment was like $15 per month just for him to use this. And now he's reviewing, he's adding, he's collaborating with his team and getting work done. So even without complex scanning solutions, you can still use a device like your phone to actually get that done.
Okay, I also want to just comment on what Vela said about the legal acceptance. So signed documents, online documents are perfectly accepted legally. Now, of course, I'm not saying that your auditor or various people would insist on seeing a piece of paper. I mean, there's a lot of people who are very much used to piece of paper and they insist on seeing piece of paper. But that doesn't necessarily mean that legally the online documents are not valid. And as you know, our checks, right, all the checks we write for how many million rupees, they are all scanned immediately. You at the branch, if you just go to the branch around 3 o'clock, they start scanning all the checks. And then nothing, those the physical checks are, I think they're kept for a while, but they're never really used for anything. So the entire checks that you ever write, all digitally scanned and handled, and so the legal system and everything has accepted that. So there's legally nothing to stop people from doing scan, but of course you need to have some system to ensure that those documents are not modified, and then also when you scan them, I mean, somebody has to certify that, okay, this is the actual correct document, and somebody didn't do some jugglery in between. So yes, there are issues, but in principle, legally they're perfectly valid.
I think, Professor, maybe there's a question in the present context, I thought this is useful question. Do the organization have to implement a work from home internal policy?
Right, that's a good question, but there was another one before that addressed to me, so let me go there. It says, what is government present action for state servants? Is there any framework and documentation? So if you say present, you mean this last 3-4 weeks? I think government has no framework. I mean, basically, they just, did something as and when events unfolded. But if you're talking of a longer term, yes, the government is looking at getting people online. Now, I don't think the government really had any concept of getting people to work from home. I don't think they are in that frame of mind yet. But to work online, maybe from office, yes, the government is very much into that. I mean, if you look at what ICTA's mandate is in the last few months, one major mandate is to get everybody online. So I assume that with the current situation, the government will strongly look at getting government servants to work from home as well. Of course, training and just basic IT skills, knowledge of English. I mean, sometimes you are told, okay, do this and do this. There's a tutorial which says click on this and do something, and the government servant, looks at it and cannot follow English. Unlike the private sector, which tends to have a bit more English. So that's another hurdle the government needs to face. So many things there. So the short answer is, I guess, no. And then policy, yes. Now again, I think for the last few days, I mean, we've just done things, right? No policies, nothing. We've just done things. But in the long term, we need to have a policy. And the good thing is that there are lots of model policies around. You can search for them. Your auditors, or they are generally they also act as consultants for organizational management and so on. They probably would be able to give you a template or help you to develop a policy. Yes, you should need a policy. And if you take our document on tips and guidelines for working from home, it mentions a few things which probably should be in the policy. Yes, because without a policy, the employees can do anything and say, well, I thought I was supposed to do that. So yes, you do need a policy which is quite clear what you can do and what you cannot do.
Professor, if I may add to that, right? I mean, if you all recall my presentation, I talked about the governance structure. So it's not only from a user's perspective, but also relooking at your current infrastructure. How does it actually scale to work from home? What precautions do you need to take? What protection measures do you need to take? All that have to be thought through. And definitely a documented do's and don'ts have to be in place. Thank you.
Professor, just to add to your presentation with regard to the government servants working from home, I think ICT has just implemented a scheme. I'm not really sure how far they have gone. I have seen some communication. So there is something happening, but I'm sure there are other constraints. So having said that, may I ask a question? Maybe all three panelists can ask. I think this keeps coming. One of the things that came up was when it's come to work from home concept, this is very much applicable for those who are in the service sector. If you really look at our economy, the contribution from the service sector comes about 46%. Rest is from the other sectors. The manufacturing is a bigger sector within that, and then there are other sectors. So the question is, anyone in manufacturing sector, could they work from home or like the auditors, we ask a question, but if you really focus on the manufacturing, anyone in the manufacturing sector, can they apply the concept of work from home? Vela, you want to start?
Right. So there could be challenges, Aruna, because I don't think everyone can get on to a work from home. If you have heavy machinery, if you have very specific production lines in your factory environment, and if your production process is as such where multiple people must get involved to complete a finished good, unfortunately, it's very difficult to apply some of those in a situation like this. But then if you can break it down to minute tasks that can be done by individuals, that's something that we can work around. In case if your entire operation is hindered and work from home not a solution in your typical business format, use this time to basically figure out how we are going to come out of this situation. Because if your entire production is at a standstill, obviously your revenue will get hit. You will have other challenges in the coming weeks and months. So if you never had a proper website, if you never had done proper digital marketing, use this time to create those material content. There are enough people right now working remotely to build great content right now. Build a channel like that and re-strategize on how you're going to come out of this situation. I mean, that's what I would do.
Okay, thanks. Sujit, any response from you?
I mean, Wellington covered the whole ecosystem, right? I mean, identifying what requires physical intervention, what can be digitized, and where people can work from home. So my expertise being security, so I would only say whatever you do, wherever digitization is going to take place, ensure that you build security right from the initial stage. It should not be an afterthought, right? Build it into your workflows, build it into your frameworks. Professor, over to you. You may
Yes.
add.
Okay. I don't really have anything to add. I think Wellington covered it. I think we should, again, it depends on what you want to do. I mean, the current situation is the emergency, and I'm sure it will go away at some point. Well, otherwise we're in big trouble. Anyway, but so I'm looking at a long-term thing. So this centralized production is, something which came in maybe the 19th century, and is not really needed in everything these days. So we could look at people doing their thing and moving things on. I mean, so as you said, it doesn't work for everything, but a lot of things can be decentralized a lot. So I think it's a good time for businesses to reimagine themselves, because it's cost saving. I mean, one of the major things we're looking at is saving costs. and not necessarily work from home. It could be small work pods which are located close to your home, so you don't really have to, get in a train or a bus and spend 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening, right? I mean, maybe you just walk to wherever and then work from a small location. So there's a lot of things. If you think out of the box, many things can be done. So that's what I would say. And now that I'm talking, let me also try to answer this question from Mahesh. How Labor Department recognize working from home, legal validity of it, please. Yeah, so Labor Department typically looks at two things. One is, are employees being well treated? For example, are you paying them overtime if they work, more than whatever number of hours? So you need to be a bit careful. You should not have people work more hours than is in the Shop and Office Employees Act and then not pay them. The second one, the Labor Department and the Factory Department gets very worried about is safety, right? So what happens if there is a safety issue and somebody injures themselves at home? Are you liable? I'm sure the Labor Department would consider you liable, even if, the person was at home, but if he was supposed to be working from home. So you need to worry about it, need to figure out whether your insurance, your workman's compensation, all of that stuff will cover. I'm sure the insurance company would refuse to pay, saying, oh, we don't cover people from home, but the Labor Department might insist you pay. So you might have issues. Yes, so it's a very good thing. The legal and the regulatory aspects of working from home have to be looked into very carefully.
Right. I think, Professor, with the interest of time, I think we need to conclude the session.
Aruna, one quick thing. There was
yes.
one comment from one Mr. Kalhan saying, I'm looking for part-time job to work from home. How can I get started? I'm right now in sales. I just posted my email address and phone number. Give me a call after this meeting.
Sure.
I'm looking for more salespeople.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So let me take this opportunity to thank the three speakers, Professor Gihan Dias, Mr. Wellington Pereira, and Mr. Sujit Christie, taking time off to share your knowledge with National Chamber of Commerce, the members and others. And I also thank the National Chamber of Commerce, the President, Director General, Bandula Disanayake, for inviting us and arranging this session. So with that, I will hand over to Bandula to do the concluding remarks.
Before that, I want to add one more thing. So I will be around, be willing to hang around for a while. Maybe the other panelists will, and I'm sure there are other FITIS members who are here and willing to talk about their solution. So we will sort of conclude the formal session. But if anyone has any questions and the panelists are free, I don't know, probably they may be having another meeting after this. We will have a very informal session after this.
Thank you very much. This is actually this is a collective effort of National Chamber of Commerce, FITIS, and .lk domain. And I would like to thank Mr. Abbas Kamruddin, FITIS chairman, and Professor Gehan Dias, very specially. So thank you, sir, for being around with us from the beginning of this organizing the event together with Aruna, and Mr. Sujit Christie and Mr. Wellington Pereira for being available as the resource persons on this, and Aruna Alvis, CEO of FITIS, who really made it happen for us from the making all the resource persons available. And I must mention the dedication showed by Crystal Ratnaika, who had been working through with us all the time, who make this happen. And I would like to thank all the participants who came on board, having confidence on this session. And I would like to mention that my chairman, Mr. Acela de Oliveira, and DVD chairman, Mr. Deepal Nelson, is also available in the audience. They were very positive on this work from home session. And with their consent, I would like to proceed with many more other sessions that we could conduct together. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you, Bandula. Thank you very much.
Okay, so if anyone has any more questions or want to just have a chat, I think you can switch on your mic. I believe you can. Right, anyway, people are leaving the conversation, but anyway, if there is anybody who has any questions remaining, we can discuss. Yeah, Cyril is asking something about solar system and installation. I'm not sure how we can help with that.
Professor, it's regarding the Zoom security.
Okay, may I know who's
Because
speaking,
we
please?
got a notice.
Could you just mention your name? I just see a letter. Shyamala.
Yes,
Okay,
this
right.
is Shyamala.
Okay.
So
From
Shyamala from AAT.
right.
And it is an educational organization, Association of Accounting Technicians of Sri Lanka. So if we open this Zoom with our students, how far it will affect the security aspect of their computers and our being as a host.
Right. So recently there were some things going around having a bug in Zoom. Now, Zoom is not the only thing which might have a bug. I mean, pretty much any application could have a bug. And I think it appears, again, I'm not 100% sure, it appears that they have fixed that particular bug.
Okay.
But so I
They have
wouldn't
fixed it.
worry. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just like any other application, you know, they have bugs and they fix them, and then of course the hackers find another bug and you know whatever. I think the one issue with Zoom was, unlike you know the bigger companies who have huge resources, Zoom is a relatively small company, and I think their customer base grew like huge percentage in the last couple of weeks. So they are having support problems managing all of them. So in fact, at a different conversation, somebody said, "Oh, Zoom, welcome to the big league." You know, all the problems with Cisco and so on have been having for many years. Now Zoom has to deal with them.
Are you?
Yeah, go ahead, William.
I was just going to ask her, sir, whether she's looking for a platform to conduct lectures and record them and host it so students can consume later.
Yes, because we have not invested on LMS, and now it is right time to do, and it's a high time. So we are looking for some solutions.
Okay.
And if that is so, then we need not to worry much on this, but it is not a government organization, so we have to think on the investment and the returns.
This is from
I will
AAT.
contact. Yes.
Give me a call after this event. I can actually help you with a free solution.
Okay, that's nice.
Just a small thing. I mean, Zoom. I'm not sure. As far as I know, they don't really have an education solution. It's not a LMS.
They don't, sir.
Right.
You
So
can record the video and publish it.
Right. So it's basically for you to move your lectures online. We've been using it at the universities for the last few days. Quite successfully, may I say. In fact, we've got a huge thing because there's so many universities and doing so many things. If you want LMS, yeah, I mean, Wellington can do. There are some other our members who have learning management solutions. You can look into several of them. But there are also various commercial solutions and open source solutions which are around. My suggestion right now is don't jump into a LMS today. You know, put that in your roadmap and work with Villa or whoever to get that done. Just stick with Zoom for now. I think that's easy to do.
I totally agree.
Fine. Thanks a lot.
Just to add to what both Professor and Vela mentioned, Zoom
Mr.
has actually worked on the issues and they've fixed a lot of things. And today the issues are relating to whether the communications were being routed to China, whether their privacy policy is, doing what it is supposed to do. So they're fixing all that, right? I mean, today I think the government, certain governments across the world, including the Indian government, has been using Zoom. Right, so they are taking precautions, they are taking remedial measures, right? So as Professor mentioned, I think take one step at a time, and then probably in your roadmap you need to decide what is the platform you would want to build, and I'm sure Vela will be able to guide you on that. Over to you.
So
Yes.
my thing is, Sujit, I mean, any technology company will have these vulnerabilities because security, like you correctly said, it's a timely thing. What is more secure today can be not so secure in another week's time. So it's just that how fast these tech companies can respond to it and fix the issue is what matters. So hats off to Zoom. Within 2 days, they released a patch, and they have improved how the settings are managed. So within 2 days, they released a global patch.
That's right.
That's what matters.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Okay, so anybody has any more questions or comments, or if you have a solution which you think was not shown to people and you want to just introduce it very, very briefly, you can go ahead.
Nothing new has come up. I think we can wrap up.
Okay, right. So then thank you, everyone, especially the National Chamber for organizing this. And just a reminder that we have yet another one on Thursday. So yeah, this looks like being like a
the
drama, right?
Next session is with Federation of Chamber of Commerce, where the regional chamber to get understand about the work from home concept, and also the Colombo Chamber of Commerce. That will also on the same time, 10:30 onwards. Yes, if anyone want to join, or if you want to join anyone who did not participate our past few 2 sessions. Thank you.
Right, can you give a registration link for that?
We will on our Facebook. There's a link for registration. So if you go to the FITIS Facebook, you will be able to register.
Okay, bye everyone.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.